Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. So we have finally reached the month of February, the month which holds the largest festival of the aerospace industry in India, the Aero Show, which is held in Bangalore as per tradition. However, a really disheartening news came up earlier this week that the US Air Force announced that their fifth generation fighter jet, the F-35, will not pull off an acrobatic display this year. However, it will be available on a static display without the acrobatics team of pilots. It is really disheartening for a student of military technology and a defense enthusiast to not see one of the supposedly best fighter jets in the world perform in front of their own eyes. However, there is a much greater news that is doing the rounds in the market and has been confirmed that the Sukhoi 57, Russia's twin-engine fifth-generation fighter jet, will make its debut on Indian soil this time around. Only China is the country which has hosted this beast in the air show last year. India will be the second. And perhaps we are the only two countries in the world that will see this marvel of a technological marvel in a peaceful capacity. Now, let us get into the reasons as to why the US might have chosen to pull out at the last minute. Because it's not like they won't take this aero show seriously or anything, because the F-35 has in fact performed previously in the 2023 aero show. There wasn't any problem at that time, even though our diplomatic relations had started sort of kind of seeing some bumps in the road since mid 2022 itself. Well, my opinion is, with regards to this particular development, that perhaps the US is trying to prevent a difficult contest. We have been bombarded with propaganda pieces in the Western media as to how the Russian equipment is obsolete, how it's not working, how their lines of defense are supposedly collapsing in Ukraine. However, their lines of defense are just collapsing in the minds of the Western media. On the ground, the Russian lines are just expanding and Kiev is being pushed backwards and backwards with a whole plethora of equipments. You have American, Israeli, Ukrainian, British, French, German, all kinds of equipment that can be there is present in Ukraine. Yet, it's Russian equipment which is winning the game for Mr. Putin's army. However, this video isn't about Russia or Ukraine. This video specifically talks about the Su-57 and the F-35. My opinion is that they are avoiding a difficult contest. They have admitted defeat before even the competition began. Now, just to inform you, my friends, India urgently needs to procure a fifth generation fighter jet. In the light of recent developments like China developing a sixth generation fighter jet and Pakistan on the verge of procuring fifth generation fighter jets from China as well as Turkey, India really needs to step up its game, and the AMCA cannot be relied upon in the short run because it will take at least 15 years to make its first flight and to be fully integrated within the Indian Air Force operations. And hence, India has released or is about to release, I must say, a mega tender of 114 fifth generation fighter jets, in which all foreign companies are basically eligible to participate. The US, Russia, France, anyone can participate in this particular tender. So I feel the US has missed out on a massive opportunity. They could have shown the entire Indian audience as to why their fifth generation fighter jet trumps Russia's fighter jet. However, they did not. They in fact knew that this battle was over before it even started. Why, do you ask? Let's dwell into the technicalities. First of all, the Su-57 fighter jet is a twin-engine fighter jet, which gives it an obvious advantage over the single-engine F-35. Then, besides that, the flight distance, the maximum range of the Su-57 is much higher than that of the F-35. The maximum speed for the Su-57 is a comfortable 2,600 kilometers per hour, whereas the F-35 maxes out at 1,900 kilometers per hour. Let us look at the kind of payload that they can carry. It can the Su-57 can carry maximum 10 tons of payload with a plethora of different missiles, including surface to air to surface missiles, air to air missiles, the KH-31, KH-35, 38, 39, as well as guided aerial bombs from the weight of 250 kilograms to 1.5 tons. This is an absolute monster, and it will be a nightmare for any fighter jet unfortunate enough to come into its line of sight. The F-35, on the other hand, it's a pretty limited kind of a fighter jet. It's only designed, I feel, from what I have seen, from air to ground for bombing operations rather than for serious air-to-air combat. It will not be effective in the event of a dogfight. Heck, even its ability to efficiently bomb ground targets is highly doubtable. The so-called retaliatory attack of Israel on Iran was nothing. Like it literally couldn't even put a scratch on Iran except for killing, I think, 20 to 15 to 20 soldiers. And that is your top fighter jet, is it? I mean, it's a really sorry state of affairs, I must say. The only thing in which the F-35 as of now seems to be ahead of the Su-57 is the number of pieces manufactured. It's about 1,500 for the F-35, and the Sukhoi fighter jet, it's just at around 42. That is the only problem that plagues the Su-57 right now. There is none other. Now, let us see, having spoken about the technicalities, let us go into the political aspect, which students of defense analysis tend to miss out many a times. We know that whenever we procure military equipment from a country, you give them massive leverage. You give them an insight into your strategies, and they essentially have the ability to crush you under the weight of their political might, especially superpowers like America or Russia. Now, America, it definitely has the ability to arm twist India into forcing its will on New Delhi. We could see that even in the case of the jet engine deliveries for the Tejas Mark 1, for example, there have been consistent delays after delays. We have made the payment of 48,000 Indian rupees, 48,000 crore Indian rupees on time, yet the delivery will not begin until June. For the Reaper drone, the payment has been made, about $30 billion have been made, yet the delivery will start in 2029. So what sort of professionalism is this? Equipment seems to reach fast enough to Israel or Ukraine or Taiwan or any proxy war involving the US. But somehow for their key strategic ally India, the equipment deliveries do not happen on time. Now some geniuses might say, but yeah, the S-400 hasn't been delivered on time either by Russia. Guys, Russia is in the middle of a war that is being waged on it by 31 nations combined. Please understand that. And delays have happened in pretty much every weapons delivery of Russia to any country. It's not just India. India is no exception in this, guys. Then we know for a fact that there have been speculations of potential kill switches or some backdoor mischief of hardware being put into the F-35. The owner can essentially render it unusable. It can be made a massive piece of junk at the behest of the owner, and that is the biggest risk, I believe, with procuring these jets. It is essentially costing more than $120 million per unit, and you don't even know whether the thing is in your control or not. And I can bet my bottom dollar that the Sukhoi 57, despite of being much more reasonably priced, it will not contain any of these backdoor concerns at all. The Russians will never think of pulling off anything like that with us. I can, as a student of geopolitics, say that with the utmost certainty. Coming to the last and final point, the biggest concern for the Indians has been that we have been eluded by jet engine technology. We desperately need that. And where do we stand a better chance of getting that, basically? Is it with America or with Russia? Russia has already announced that they are willing to undertake joint production with us. They are willing to offer these jets to us at a slightly subsidized price. So we have won half the battle before even sitting on the table. Besides, we know that our forex reserves stand at $600 billion. We bring much more power to the negotiating table with Russia than we do with America. And much more power means a much better offer. We stand to get a much more beneficial offer with the Russians rather than with the Americans. Besides, when it comes to operational integration, when it comes to our core expertise of our aviation industry, it is easier to hop from a lower model to a higher model of equipment belonging to the same family. It is not easy, however, to discard a family of equipment entirely and to move on to something totally different which we have never even experienced. And that is exactly the difference between the Su-57 and the F-35, my friends. Our Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has great experience of developing at least 200 Sukhoi 30 fighter jets. So how difficult would it be to jump from a Sukhoi 30 to Sukhoi 57? There are differences, obviously, hence this jet is better than the previous one. But there is a structural similarity, a similar genetic similarity, if you will, which does not occur in the case of the F-35. Because we haven't produced even the F-16. We haven't even tried out what the F-16 looks like. So it will be much more difficult to train our pilots in that particular scenario. Whereas given the constantly changing dynamics and power play in South Asia, we need to have at least 3 to 4 squadrons of these jets operational with our pilots fully trained on them by early 2028. There can be no further delay than this, my friends. We do not want to lose the strategic advantage over Pakistan that we already have. We do not want to allow China to go even further ahead of us than what it already is. So I believe I have covered most of the relevant aspects when it comes to this particular competition. This has been my longest video. Thank you so much for bearing with me till now. I hope you found this video interesting. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel in case you found it interesting, my friends. Thank you so much. Jai Hind and see you at the Aero Show, my friends. Take care.